name is Monica Kretschmer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Women of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Women Driving Change panel. So I'm with three extraordinary leaders who are also part of our Women of Inspiration, Women Driving Change book. Congratulations, ladies. It is a #1 best-selling book on Amazon in not one, but two, but three categories. So congratulations on that. Your stories are awe-inspiring. The wealth and the knowledge that you're bringing to this panel today is truly a blessing, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity for you all to be here and share your wisdom together. So first off, I'd like to introduce Dana Levenson, who is a TV personality. Dana, you and I have had several conversations, and I'm super excited for you to be here today with us. Allison Mclauchlan is the Executive Director of the Kelowna Women's Shelter, and Annie Osley, who is a musical financial doctor, best-selling author and publisher, and also with RBC Insurance. So Annie, you have a lot of experience that you're bringing together in a lot of different industries, and so we have quite a great panel today. So Dana, maybe I'll just get you to start off with a little bit about you, and I'll get the other ladies to follow in, and then we'll dive into our panel.
Thank you, Monica. That's a beautiful introduction, and hello to everyone. It's such an honor to be in this company amongst these women, and with you once again, Monica. It's just incredible, and to be in this book and to be honored, it's just there. I have no words, and I've done so many wonderful things in my career and my life, but this is right up there in the top 3 for sure. And that being said, I've worked in television for over 20 years. I worked at CTV News in Toronto in local news as a general news reporter and weather anchor for almost 20 years. I left CTV a couple of years ago to pursue other avenues in media, and have since become a host of my own show called On the DL, which can be heard on every podcast platform and can be seen on all of my social channels at Dana Levenson and Dana Levenson TV. So it's been a very busy last couple of years, but very incredible because I got to meet Monica and connect with such extraordinary women across this country.
Well, we're glad to have you, Dana. And of course, we met during the COVID craze, but it's really funny, during these times that are uncertain, so much certainty and great things have happened. So thank you very much, Dana. Allison.
Hi, my name is Allison Mclauchlan. I am the Executive Director of Kelowna Women's Shelter. I emigrated to Canada with my family 12 years ago from obviously the west coast of Scotland. And I have worked in the violence against women sector for 16 years now. Worked my way up from frontline to the dizzy heights of Executive Director where I sit now. So that is I feel my passion, my calling. It's phenomenal when you actually stumble into your career and feel like you're doing what you were supposed to do. So I'm very honored to be a part of this whole process. I'm still, trying to convince myself that I deserve it. But that's as most women do, that's an ongoing process. But I'm very happy to be here and can't wait to see the book. Can't wait to have it in my rubby little hand. So.
Well, I got to tell you, it smells so good too. It's like books.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Anyways, we're glad to have you here. And of course, your leadership is really important. You do such great work in the nonprofit space that does support women on a whole new level. And I know that there's many women that are in the book, myself included, who have touched the walls of your work as well. So glad to have you here. Annie.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Monica, thank you for inviting us, all of us, really, in this book, because this is something groundbreaking. And I'm so delighted that the book really catapulted on the day of the publishing in 3 different categories to #1. So that really is a testament that the message is resonating with the masses. So I'm really proud of what you have started and what we were able to contribute to and accomplish for all those other people and ignite their passion and inspire them. So just as you introduced me, I am a musical financial doctor, and I know that many people wonder, okay, what is that, right? So financial doctor, let's start there perhaps. It just simply means that I have all my financial licenses, whether it's investment, insurance, or real estate, and I happen to have my master's in adult education as well. And I have been working in the industry for pretty much over 20 years. And with regards to the book writing and the publishing, I have been invited to write books just as an author. And then over time, especially during the pandemic, I realized that many of my clients who were business owners, they really needed an additional platform to have their voices heard, to meet other collaborators, other clients, and so on. And so I basically approached my publisher, Randy Goodman, and I said, you know what, you really need to revive Empowering Women to Succeed, because that's such a successful series. It has been international #1 bestseller for 5 consecutive years. And she said, well, you are twisting my arm, I'm twisting yours. I'm only doing it if you are doing it with me. And so we did. And basically the book that we launched together within the series, which is number 6 in the series, Legacy, went to international #1 bestseller earlier this summer. And this is just the beginning. We haven't stopped. So we really love to see the impact that we are making. And I also have a podcast. Just like Dana has a podcast, I have a podcast as well, and it is called The Financial Doctor Show. And I'm actually inviting anybody who is making a difference, and whether it's just a business owner that thinks, oh, you know, this is really just my business, but at the end of the day, it's your brainchild. You came out with it, and you are making a difference with it. Or someone who is basically a social media correspondent for the Oscars and Golden Globes, a TEDx speaker, an Order of Canada recipient, and of course many musicians as well. Music is my passion. It's part of my fabric, part of who I am. I have been growing up with music and making music. I play the piano, and my daughter is an avid piano player as well. And yeah, so the musical thing is just part of me, and that's part of my title. That's who I am.
So where I want to jump into, ladies, and I want to start off with success. You're all accomplished leaders and successful leaders in your own industries. Where I'd like to start off with is your definition of success. What is that, Dana?
Wow. Well, I could go on for hours about what I feel success is for me personally, but I think that really to define success, it is very personal. It really starts with happiness. And do you wake and do you fall asleep each night feeling happy with how you have filled your days? Do you feel that you're contributing to whatever it is that you want to contribute? Do you feel like you have contributed something to this world in the position that you are in? And for me, I feel that way. So I have ultimate happiness now. I feel that I'm at a level of success that I dreamed about for a very long time, even though to the world I was so successful. Personally, I didn't feel it. And that was the impetus for change for me. And so I needed a much deeper connection to feel that. And so success can be very selfish, but for me, it was much wider and broader than that. And I brought that all into one piece. And once I did that and was able to focus where I needed to be and what I needed to do, I started to feel extraordinarily successful. And it's not about the amount of money that you make or who you surround yourself with every day. For me, it is about that level of peace and happiness and awareness of how happy I am. So that's my definition.
Beautiful. Allison, how about yourself? What is your definition of success?
Well, I agree with what Dana said straight off the bat. It's so individual, and that's the wonderful thing about success, is that it is so individual. How I would define it is again, doing something that you're passionate about, like it's something that makes you wake up in the morning and you actually feel like you're making a difference. I don't particularly care about titles or roles, or it's all about the individual and what you are bringing to support others or to move change in the direction that you're passionate about. So for me, that's how I define success. It's finding something you love and, taking it on, all the challenges, the good and the bad, and then you'll be successful. But very individual. It's a hard one. It's one of those questions where you think it's easy or it should be. But I guess when you try and define it as an individual, it's very difficult because you could read a textbook and tell you what the dictionary says, but to define it for yourself, I don't. That's a tough one.
Agreed. I completely agree. It is a tough one. Now that we've got the tough one out of the way, right? Annie, how about yourself? How do you define success?
So I have to agree with my fellow leaders, Dana and Allison, in terms of that you have to find your purpose really in life, in terms of what is it that you are in for others, like why is your existence even in this dimension? And once you find it and you're able to really mine out all the nuances of it in terms of how are you going to make an impact and make a difference, I guess that's, for me, defining success in terms of what is then the legacy that I'm creating for others. But I agree, this is very individual because, as we mentioned, for some people it might be something smaller. And even for a housewife, their success is if their family is happy and their children are well raised and it's a functional family, and that is a success. And everything is a success as long as you feel fulfilled and you are feeling that you are giving to others and make an impact and make a difference and make a change. So for me, I guess success, in a way, it's very similar to purpose as well. So find your own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not ready to leave this question, by the way, because I think I think we got to dig down a little bit more. We talk about success and failures kind of somewhere in the mix, but there's also sacrifices. So, what sort of sacrifice, and especially for future leaders or, giving other leaders permission to, find their own success is, I think we need to talk about the sacrifices. What were some of those sacrifices that you had to make, Dana, to find your level of success?
I had to make so many sacrifices. I can't even think about 1 year. I always, I'll backtrack. I attribute career, or I compare career to a marriage. I always say that, it's when you leave a job, it's like a divorce. When you have to tell your boss you're leaving, it's like you are breaking up with an ex-husband. It's very, very difficult. But like marriage, careers have good years and bad years, good months and bad months. And I always felt that I was making sacrifices. I never felt that there was a year where I wasn't making a sacrifice. And I thought there has to be a time in my life where I reach a stage and an age where I'm not making sacrifices all the time to get what I really want. And I feel that for people listening to this, watching this, take a moment and just think, what sacrifices am I making? And are those sacrifices making me happy? Do they fill me up? How does that affect my self-worth? And so once I took that position and took a moment and really took time to think about what those sacrifices were doing to my life, my health, and my family, I knew I had to make changes. So sacrifice, I feel, comes with career and it comes with leadership. There's the good sacrifice and then there's a really bad sacrifice. And you have to figure out where you are in between because you're going to have both all the time.
Yeah, very good. Allison, how about yourself?
That's a tough one. Because I struggle with the word sacrifice, because I don't honestly feel, and maybe I'm naive. I don't honestly feel that I've had to sacrifice that much. I've had challenges, and I guess we don't really understand, because I don't think as women and as leaders we look up long enough sometimes to see what, you know, the sacrifice or the challenges that we've, or I just know you just, you know, you're faced with a challenge and you just you plow through, and it's not until you know, you, like Dana said, you can take a breath and lift your head up and go, oh my God, where's the last 20 years
Yes.
gone? Where
Yes.
my children are,
yes.
are, you know, when did they leave? So it's very much, I don't think we take enough time to acknowledge the challenges or sacrifices that we have for our career. And as I think I said on the previous podcast, how guilty we're made to feel for having success or a career. Or choosing to stay at home with the kids, or choosing not to stay at home with the kids, or choosing to have a career, or choosing not to have a career. So for me, it's all about if I feel that I'm doing my best to make change or bring about change to support, obviously, the women and children in my sector, then, and I have the support, then I don't think I've sacrificed, or I wouldn't want to say that I've sacrificed anything. Maybe my family would disagree with me, and maybe I'm just naive and stubborn, but maybe I just haven't lifted my head up high enough yet to see it, the carnage behind you, you know, the car wreck in the back. Just keep driving. Don't look behind you. But yeah, I don't think that answered your question, but
no, it did actually, because I think what you're doing is you're allowing others to have permission, you know, for being ambitious, for wanting to drive and go after what you want without feeling judgment, you know, sort of. So you're parking, I'm looking at it as a challenge, not a sacrifice, right? Because the sacrifice is that it's taking something from you. So what you're saying is that it's actually adding to your bucket, not taking from your bucket.
Exactly. Well put. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's easy. I'm just listening, right? And you know,
that's what I meant to say.
You know, but my perception of what you're saying, or what even you're saying, I mean, everybody has their own perception about how that applies to them, but that's how I choose to take it, right? Yeah. So anyways, I would love to know, you know, do you think that you've made any sacrifices achieving your success?
It's actually funny because this conversation is absolutely beautiful. You know, it really depends on how you look at the word sacrifice. Are you really looking at it like from the Old Testament, you know, you're sacrificing an animal and that's it, and the blood is flowing, and then you are creating something good, hopefully, and the divine creature, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is now granting you your wish, or whether you are just allowing to add to you and enriching you and you know, just basically enabling you to do even more for others. So it really depends on the scale how you look at it, and I think it's very beautiful, and both ways are absolutely correct. And you know, just to the judgment, at the end of the day, you know, whoever is judging you, saying, well, you know, you should have been staying more at home with the kids, or you shouldn't have been working that long hours, or whatever else, they can only give that, I don't know if I should call it advice or comment, based on their own perception and their own world, but that's not defining you, right? So it's very important to understand where you are coming from and what are your boundaries, what are you allowing, and at the same time, where are you saying, no, this is what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And if your purpose is really so rock solid, then, you know, those naysayers shouldn't stop you from achieving what you want to do for others. So that's what it is. My own personal sacrifice, because women tend to actually take away from us as opposed to from something else, was that I have been working very, very, very long hours, and I have not been taking good care of myself. So what does it really mean? You know, I have been gaining weight and my health went down and whatever else. And then so at one point I had this wake-up call. It's like, wait a second, you know, it's one thing to buy new clothing because, you know, the old ones are no longer fitting. But, you know, how long am I able to help others if I wreck my health? And so it was actually the pandemic that gave me back so much time, because I was able to do a lot of things online versus needing to travel to see my clients. And I took that time to really, you know, put it in me and create a much more healthier myself. And I feel so good about it. And you know what? And I'm basically created a self-care routine when I said no more compromises in that. Because if I'm not creating the best version of myself, I can't give the best version for others. So, yeah.
Bravo.
Great job, Annie. I know I went the exact opposite way. I know what COVID weight is now. So anyways, now back on track, but you know, it's a little bit of forgiveness, right? Like we're doing the best that we can do most days, right? And as long as we can say that we give it our best shot, but yeah, it's really important to make that self-care, and that's the hardest thing in the world to do. And I would like to talk about that next, Dana, because I know that this is a big topic for you.
Big.
Right? Do you think women can have it all?
Well, I get what was it, it's Oprah who said women can have it all, just not at the same time. Was that an Oprah quote?
Yeah. Oprah or Michelle Obama?
I don't think it was Michelle Obama. I feel like it was Oprah who said you can have it all, just not all at the same time. And I really believe that you can. You can have everything you want in life. You just may not have it all in the exact same month or the same year. And at one point in my life, I thought, well, I have it all, but I really didn't. And I think that was the disconnect. And part of that is taking care of yourself, right? If you don't have your health, you have nothing. If you don't feel well, you are no good to anyone, employer, employees, your family, your partner, no one. So start there. When you think about having it all, think about yourself. And, you know, the first thing I do every single day, other than, you know, I think about my children and how I'm going to take care of them and what are they going to eat for breakfast and how now they're getting off to school again, thank goodness, and lunches and the craziness and all that. But the first thing I do every single day is I step outside and I take a breath of fresh air. And I started doing that years ago. And that is number one in my self-care, and it makes a huge difference. So I started to do that, and I started to see a difference, and that morphed into walking meditations, which morphed into very long walks and getting in like 12,000 steps before I did anything in the morning, which promoted significant health and fitness. And so it was this wonderful snowball effect. So that started to happen for me. As that started to happen for me, I started to have a mind shift in how I could conquer everything and do everything at the same time. So I think you have to take a step back once again and think about what it all looks like when you say, can you have it all? What does it all look like? Does it look like this fabulous, successful family? What is that? How do you define that? And then you have this like fabulous, successful career. Well, what does that look like? How many hours a day are you working? Are you working 18 hours a day? Are you barely sleeping? Are you not exercising? Are you not eating well? Are you drinking enough water? Are you spending enough time with your loved ones? Like you have to think about what that looks like in terms of having it all. I did not have it all. I had all. I had very little balance until I started making some shifts and something clicked. And so I'm working on trying to have it all, but doesn't happen all at the same time. Not a chance.
Wonderful. Allison?
Well, I wrote down it depends on what your all is. Because I thought do you think we can have it all? And again, I think that's the way that, society sets us up for, failure is, you've got to have it all. You've got to have the perfect family, the perfect career, the perfect social life and friends, and, you've got to have it all. But what does that actually mean? And why do we have to have it all? Why? Because I don't know, but I just feel like, and maybe I haven't found it yet, but it's like, okay, well, you get success in career, but it's never enough. Or you get success, you have healthy, beautiful children. But that's, that we're always, or me personally, always still looking for something else. So I hope the day comes where I can say, I'm good enough. Haven't got there yet. I'm working on it. And I wish I had better health care like Dana does, but I am awful, absolutely terrible at self-care. Awful. Never have been. And I don't know if it's just my Scottish roots, not a clue, but I'm absolutely awful at taking care of myself. I do not take my own advice. So I need to work on that. But yeah, it depends what all is. And if you think and if somebody thinks that they have it all, then great, great, good for you. Celebrate that. That must be an awesome feeling. I've never felt it, so I don't know.
I also think, though, Allison, you're very driven, right?
Yeah.
And so having it all, I think you want to achieve so much. So how can you have it all when you have great big goals that are so that you're just excited to achieve, right? Because you're ambitious. So maybe not having it all is okay, because that's a lifetime of journeys and goals and experiences. And, how could you say you have it all? Because there's room on your plate for more, right? There's always another mountain to climb that's super exciting. So when you were talking about it, I don't look at it as a negative. I look at it as a positive, because you do have that ambition and those goals, right? Yeah. So you're always going to have room to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess just when you were talking there, the day that I am out of a job will be the day I have it all.
Wow.
Because, for me to be out of a job means that there's not another woman or child that has to suffer violence and abuse. So I guess, that's very, very, very lofty goals right there. But I guess, that's where, like when you were talking, that's where I went. I was like, the day I'm out of a job is the day I'll have it all.
That's a quote. Miss Allison. That's like a affirmation on those daily walks.
Yeah.
Very cool. Beautiful. How about you, Annie?
Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. So this is so beautiful. It almost left me speechless. It's amazing. It is a really good quote. Really write it down and just look at it, because that's going to be an added inspiration for making even more change. And so I have to agree with you, Monica, because at the end of the day, if you don't have it all, that just simply means that you still have room for improvement. And, in my line of work, financial work, many times I hear from people, I will do it once I reach that, or I will be happy once I get there. The funny thing is that once they get there, they don't find the joy because they forgot to enjoy the journey. And so that's one of the things that I learned for myself, and that was through mindset coaching, through meditation, through the changing of the diet, through the exercise routine, and I do walk as well in nature, Dana, so maybe one day we can book something together. But,
we probably walk by each other.
maybe we do. But what I really learned is that we have to find happiness in the now. Because if we are worrying about the past, we are just looking at the past, that can pull you into depression because then, oh my God, I missed this and that. You can't change it anyways. Learn from it and move on. If you're worrying constantly about the future, what are you doing? You're becoming anxious. And again, you're not at your optimal vibration and you can't function properly. But when you are in the now and you're making the best of the now, that's when you can live up to your optimum potential and truly make that difference for you and for others. So live in the now. That's my motto.
I love that, Monica. You got to write that one down too. I love that.
You're muted, Monica.
It's recorded.
Oh.
So the beautiful thing is that all of these panels are recorded. So every single bit of that wisdom that is pouring out of you, that you're inspired by the other leaders in the room, it is just only adding to the wisdom. So, I guess my next, kind of where I'd like to take it to is every woman has a story. Each and every one of you has a story and why you're doing it, you're doing, and that purpose, Annie, that you're talking about. So why is it so important for women to know their worth and ask for what they want?
Wow. Is that for me? Not for me. Wow, Monica, that could go on for hours on this one. Okay. Can you say that? Can you repeat that question again? I'm sorry. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute. You're on mute. Oh, there you go. I think you're muted.
So every woman has their story. So why is it so important for women to ask for what they want and for negotiating and to advocating for themselves?
Okay. That's a great question. So I will tell you, I'm the worst self-advocate probably ever. I'm a horrible example. And I went probably 15, 16 years in a career where I couldn't get the words out. I couldn't ask for what I wanted. I couldn't say what I needed. And I felt that within the organization I was working for and where I was working, even though to everyone, like the image that I was portraying was that I had this unbelievable glamorous job, but it's not what I wanted. And I wanted something else. And for me, the way I define it, I wanted something more and I wanted something different. And I still stick to the same line. It wasn't part of the plan. My trajectory was very different than where I ended up. And when I started to use my voice and say, this is not what I want, this was not part of the plan, I was shut down very quickly and reminded very quickly why I was being shut down. And I didn't like it. And that went on for several years. And each time I was knocked down a little bit, and not on purpose. No one human or person that I came into contact with when I was trying to advocate for myself meant to do that to me, but that's how I experienced it, which felt wrong to me. And I will say this to every person listening to this. If you feel that you are not being experienced the way you want to be experienced, you are never going to find joy in the work that you are doing. And you need to say it, and you need to say it out loud. And if someone knocks you down, say it again. And if that person knocks you down, say it again and keep saying it. And it doesn't matter if you have to say it in different places and to different people, but you got to keep saying it. And that is my life lesson, because I had to make a huge life change because of it. And it's sometimes I feel it's it's incredible, but sometimes I feel it's very unfortunate. If I had only been my own best self-advocate, then things would have been very different for me.
But we don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
That's why these talks and, the sharing so authentically, by the way, is really what's going to help the other women that are at that place where you could have maybe done that turning point maybe, 10 years earlier, right? Because you said, oh my gosh, that's exactly where I am, right? So that's what's so important. So thank you so much for sharing. Allison, how about yourself?
Oh, well, this is because of the work that I do, obviously domestic abuse and violence silences so many women. It just, it eats women from the inside out. They lose their soul, their identity, their voice, everything. They lose it all. So obviously, coming from a sector where that is your main goal is to advocate and empower women to find their voice and to speak up. So for me, I've been lucky where my career when I started in this sector is very much based on women having their voice and advocating for those that can't. And that means, standing firm on your values and your beliefs. And you know what? If people don't like what you're saying, then you don't change your beliefs and values, because there's women and children who are depending on you to not just walk the walk, but talk the talk. And if we can't do it as advocates in the violence against women field, then how can we expect women, vulnerable women, to do it? We're asking, if we can't do it, then why are we asking vulnerable women to do it? So I feel pretty privileged and lucky to have had so many strong women when I started in this sector to tell me never apologize for your thoughts and your beliefs and your values. Mm-hmm. So I've been very lucky that way, and I can't thank them enough for it. Now, earlier on in my career, I was in the Royal Air Force, and obviously very male-dominated. Women could only do certain jobs, and I fought to join a certain group, and they'd never had females in there before because it wasn't deemed safe for them. And I fought, and like Dana said, I just kept saying, nope, I want to do this. It didn't matter how many times I was told, well, you're a woman, you can't do it, you can't be in the field with all these men, all this stuff. I just kept saying, nope, I want to go and work there. And I think they just got fed up of me. And I eventually got to go, and I was the first female to be on that unit. So, but that wasn't easy, to be shut down all the time and told, well, you're not strong enough, or you can't live in the field when we go on exercise and all this stuff. And it's like, I would love to do that. That's my idea of fun. So yeah, I guess you just have to keep, and if one person won't listen to you, go and find another one. Go find someone else that'll listen, and just keep going. It's that tenaciousness that nope, you're not going to tell me I can't do something. So yeah, but it's not easy. It's very, very difficult.
Of course, and that's the hard part, right? Is you've got it. It's a little bit messy. It's a whole lot of uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
And nobody's going to get you off the floor and push you. Well, you're going to probably have a team around you, right? Some people that believe in you, but you've got to do the hard work.
Yeah.
There's no easy way around that. So, anyways, great wisdom. Annie, how about yourself?
I actually really loved how Allison was talking about the Royal Air Force, how it's a very male-dominated field, and you had very obvious restrictions what you could even achieve. Forget about glass ceiling, like this is obviously, put down
Yep.
pretty much very, very openly, right? And so interesting enough, I work in the financial services industry, which is an extremely male-dominated field as well. And, likely probably the media as well, I'd like to say, right? And so it's very interesting how we, the three of us, still found our ways and our voices to make a difference and actually be successful at what we are doing. So what is the common denominator? And I think the common denominator is our leadership style, because we lead from the angle of love and compassion, which is very, very different from the male ego-dominated leadership. And I'm not saying that all males are leading like that, but it's more common. And so, what I really learned is that gender has absolutely nothing to do with your ability, what you can achieve. Nothing. Like, it's what's between these two, the eyes, right? That's what defines in terms of what you can achieve and how far you can bring. And just as Allison, you said, tenacity. And that's actually Amelie Eckhart's little quote that, tenacity is what's making the difference. I mean, I can't quote it right now, but that's what it is. And all the fears are nothing else but paper tigers. So when we are afraid of not speaking up or not going after our passion or not going after our purpose, we are the ones who are saying no to ourselves. Because as soon as someone is trying to define you, again, they can only define you based on their own little perceptions, but that might not be yours. So why would you give away your power to allow them to tell you what you can do? That's not why we are here. That's not my purpose.
Beautiful. Great conversation, ladies. As we sort of wrap up, I also want to touch on the role of our male allyship, right? And, I think that now's the time that we're driving the change, but it's men and women working together to break whatever ceiling that might be, right? And it's different for everybody, I think. But why is it critical, Dana, for our allies to be part of that support network?
For men particularly, I think when men are included in our journeys, in our process, when they feel that they are alive to our dreams, they have such a crucial role in helping us achieve where we need to be. So part of that is having an openness, either with if it's male counterparts at work or male leaders at work, whether it is male relatives or male partners. It's this idea that when men are included, they really do, I find, and I have found in my life, that they come to the table with such open hearts and open-mindedness. It is so contradictory to what the stereotype is. It really, really is. They just want to be included. They just want to be in the know. They want to help raise us up. The ones that don't, they're not going to exist in sort of this new world space for very long in the role that they're in, right? So male allies and support hers are so pivotal and so crucial to, I feel like, the flow of our journeys. It's just so important, but I feel that they need to be let in. There has to be communication for sure.
They are definitely part of the driving change, right? They're part of this next, kind of movement to sort of achieve and break those barriers. Allison, why do you believe they're critical? Or maybe just even share your personal, a supporter that has championed for you as well. So you can take it both directions.
Sure. Well, I think there's this misconception that it's them against us. And I think women for many years, when it comes to like the social issues, domestic abuse, talk to my own, we've been saying for years, no, it's not no, we need non-abusive men to champion our work. They're the ones that will bring an end to violence against women is non-abusive men. So for me personally, it's not a them against us, and I don't think women see it that way. I think that's a very male-orientated way of looking at it, and maybe it's based on things that I don't fully understand. But certainly for me, my husband, I honestly wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for his support, or maybe I would, but it would look slightly different. I had a 3-year-old when I went back to university. I got pregnant in my second year of university, so I had a 4-year-old and a newborn baby while I was at university, and then worked every weekend. My husband had his own business. He looked after the children. I know that's not his job, of course they're his kids. However, but not once was there ever any barriers kind of put in my way, or did he make me feel like I was putting my career in front of my family? It was like, you want to do this? How can I support you? I got this, and I've got you. And he's continued to do that throughout our entire relationship together, and he's still doing it because I'm in Kelowna by myself, and he is in Alberta with our 19-year-old daughter. So when I said I want to go to Kelowna, I feel I'm not challenged anymore in my work. I want to move up. He said, okay, let's make it happen. We need to find somewhere for you to rent. We need to do this, do that, and let's make it happen. And that's what he did. So I'm really, again, I feel very lucky and very privileged to have that support in my life.
Beautiful. Well, I'm so glad you have the opportunity to talk about that, because I think that's really important, right? And everybody's situation is completely different, but these are the times that we can talk about it openly, and maybe even inspire another husband, partner to just go, okay, like, it's not the end of the world, and there's other people that are making this work. And I know in my own world, couples that are dynamic couples but are working in parallel, right? And it might be for short periods of time so that they can achieve their own goals together. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Anyways, thank you for sharing, Allison. Annie?
So ladies, I really have to agree with you, and you said so many different beautiful nuggets, whether it's the communication, whether it's the role, how we are all playing, or you said, okay, sometimes, one partner has one goal and then the other one is supporting, and then vice versa. And in all reality, in all truth, we all actually carry both those male and female energies in ourselves. Men do that too. And it's so interesting when we find that male counterpart who is willing to embrace their own female energies as well, because that's going to be the caring, the supporting, and so on. The other one is more of, okay, I'm taking care of you, but more from the ego, the macho, perspective, and then forcing you in a certain role versus, okay, how are we really partnering? And I really must say, looking at many of the women who are my clients, and it's a challenge to find that man. I really must say it is a challenge. And if you found that man, well, congratulations, and hold on to him, because he's a treasure. He really is. And it can make such a huge and tremendous difference, not only in the lives of the women, but also in the lives of the families, aka the children as well. Because, and Allison, I'm sure you heard more stories than anybody else. When there's this, male, extreme dominance in there, the problem is that it's not serving anyone. It's actually damaging. It's damaging psychologically, emotionally, everything. But when there's this partnership, this beautiful softness of the female energy inside the man, and it's really nurturing, then that's when magic can happen. And so it really can be anyone. If that's your partner, hold on to him. If that's your brother, then hold on to him. If that's a male colleague, then that's what it is. And whoever that is in your circle, just treasure them, appreciate them, and say thank you, and say, hey, I appreciate you. I love you for who you are. And it's funny because my word for 2021 is love, but love is not necessarily a romantic love. Love is just over-encompassing and should be unconditional, and that's, I believe, a challenge. But once that is out in the universe as a vibration, it comes back to you as well. And I guess that's where we need to be. And I just recently met someone who became a very dear friend, and I heard, his story, how he actually stayed at home 6 months to, in the parental leave, just to take care of the baby so that the wife can go back to work. And he did it twice. I'm like, wow, that's empowerment. Good for you. So that's what I'm saying. Like we have everybody out there, and we can find these treasures, and just let's celebrate them.
Well, this is so empowering. I think that we're going to get a whole bunch of, support her listeners. And I think that the value here is that they know that they bring value to the table. I think that's really part of it is we want, like ourselves, we want to be valued. They also want to be valued. And it doesn't matter what gender you are. Every single person wants to belong and feel as though they have value. So, ladies, driving change. I mean, when the world stopped, women kept going, but to drive change to that next level, Dana, what are you going to do to drive that change in your industry?
Well, I'm definitely not going to stop. You were definitely a role model for me in that. Really brought me to attention, Monica, for sure, when I had said, I think we need to just pause here. I'm just sharing some anecdotes here with everyone about my experience with Universal Women's Network when I had said to everyone, I think we need to pause. And Monica's like, no, we are not doing that. And I thought, she's right. And you know what? I'm not going to pause either. And this summer, this past July, I decided to take a few days off, which was the first few days off I had taken since prior to COVID starting. It was a long time really did not take a few days to myself. And I regrouped in those few days and I recharged and I said, I'm going to keep going and I'm not going to stop. And so I mentor, I speak to young women all the time. Part of my pivot and my change has been inspirational for a lot of women in media and in our industry. As the industry has changed so much in the last few years, particularly women are finding that they're trying to create a space for themselves because they're not sure where they fit. Even though they have a paycheck and they have a job, they're just not sure where they fit in the industry right now. So I really do feel a responsibility to those women who reach out and ask me how to do it. So that's part of how I'm going to continue contributing to my industry, is to be involved and to be available. The other part is I'm going to continue to tell stories. Incredible, inspirational, painful, life-changing, life-altering, exceptional stories of women and beyond, and create that connection for people to help them and inspire them make change in their life.
Beautiful. Go, Dana. And I almost forgot that I told you to keep going, but yeah, I would have said don't pause.
No, you were unbelievable. Number one, right up there, changed my view, my life. Everything changed in that moment, Monica. Everything changed in that moment. And the people that were on that call saw it. I'm sure they saw it. I was like, and everything changed from that moment for me. Everything. So I thank you for that, but I have not stopped since.
No, I've seen it, Dana. It's been incredible to watch it. It just like, whoa, you've been off the charts. It's been beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyways, congratulations.
And to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I love all this, support. And, that's what we need more of, ladies. Allison, how about yourself? How would you like to drive change in your industry?
Oh, well, obviously my sector was built on women fighting for change. And And one thing that the pandemic has shone a light on for me, and also with my being the executive director and having that leadership and that power, is that it has focused me again on the whole advocacy piece, the awareness raising piece of it. You know, back in the 70s or whatever, women were out there, they were loud, they were shouting from the rooftops, and we lost that somewhere along the way, because all of a sudden it was like we were doing the real work, that, you know, that head down thing again. And I think it's time. The pandemic has shown, certainly in my work, that we really can't take our foot off the whole advocacy and awareness raising piece of the issue. So that's where I'm going to challenge and look for opportunities, is to use my leadership and power to do more awareness raising, get in people's faces, and yeah, show them the reality of what women and children are living with on a daily basis, with or without a pandemic. So that's where I'm going to look for opportunities.
Well, you have some great company that you're keeping, so I don't think that'll be a problem, right? I honestly, you put it out there and the universe does definitely listen, and is already, it's like, we got you, Allison. And, you know, already working on the great big plan just as soon as you said it, right? I just got goosebumps. So I love to hear that change. Annie, how about yourself? What are you going to do to drive change in your industry?
I'm going to continue with the financial services education, and part of the reason being is because, as we mentioned, financial services is a very male-dominated field, but very importantly as well, the topic as such is not even taught in school properly. So I see it so many times that women let this topic be handled by their male or significant other counterpart, and only to find themselves pretty much like, you know, the fish out of the water when something happens, whether it's a divorce or the person is passing on and so on, and then they don't even know how to pay a bill. So it really starts from empowerment and from education, and I love doing it. It's, you know, it's part of my passion. I have been doing it, so I'm just continuing doing it. And, you know, I really love how hopefully things are opening up again, so we will be able to, again, teach from the stages, just like we did back in the days. But even right now, you know, making it available, you know, online is actually beautiful, because now you can reach people who might not have been able to attend your stages. So that's something that I really want to continue doing, and I really enjoy seeing these light bulbs that are going off, and people are like, oh my God, you really have enlightened me, and you've shown me a way. You know, now I can see a hope. I can actually see that this can become a tangible reality, and I really love, you know, those stories. The other thing is I really enjoy the book publishing component, because we have experienced it, you know, through our authors in the Empowering Women to Succeed series, that, you know, when you contribute in that book, you know, you can actually share your message beyond borders. You make a difference in other people's lives. And as a side effect, likely your business will flourish as well. So it's really a win-win-win. So I'd like to continue doing it as well. And we actually plan to come out with 3 more books in the series back in 2022. So it's going to be amazing. And I've been, again, also asked to contribute to other books as well. So I'm busy writing and telling the stories like you, Dana. Mm-hmm. Right? And I just love my podcast. I really love, you know, meeting with people and then being referred to other people who also want to share their stories. And they have sometimes these most surprisingly deep conversations with people that, you know, I'm getting one goosebump after another, and I'm like, oh my God, this turned out to be so good. And it's also inspiring others. So I'm really excited about, you know, all these things that landed in my lap to make a difference, and just creating, you know, just raising, as you say, raising the bar or raising the vibrations just to make a difference for others.
Beautiful. Well, I think this is how we do it, ladies, and it has been an absolute pleasure to have this dialogue with you. I know it's late. I mean, those listeners may not realize that we're like covering coast to coast here. We're covering like all time zones almost here. You know, Alberta and BC and Ontario, and we haven't got Nova Scotia, but anyways, we're definitely covering a lot of territory, and it has been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to driving change with you all. So for those of you that haven't picked up your copy, pick up your copy. It's also available on the e-version, but there's nothing like having a copy that you can sit, drink a cup of tea. I like coffee, but you know what I mean? I honestly get something different every time I read some of the stories, because they're deep, they're thought-provoking, and knowledge. It's there to be shared. So thank you, ladies, for doing everything that you're doing in your industries and collectively. So have a great rest of your evening, and I look forward to this epic journey ahead.
Awesome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you all.
Bye.
Be well.
Bye.
Bye.